Why does love bombing work so well? Well, I'm going to tell you a simple story that therapist Dick Schwartz talks about in his book, You Are the One You've Been Waiting For. So, one of the reasons that love bombing works so well is because we've essentially been deprived. So, the story goes like this. Imagine that there's a set of children that were raised without adequate food, without healthy food, without good nutrition. And so these children were essentially deprived. And then imagine another set of children that were raised in a household that had adequate nutrition and kind of whatever food that they wanted was around in a healthy way. And so when these children are in the home and they're being fed and they're getting all the nutrients, but they also have treats once in a while, like they're getting everything they want. And imagine that in both of these scenarios, in these homes, there's a man that shows up on the doorstep, and Dick Schwartz calls him the Candy Man. And so in the story, the man offers these children candy. And obviously it's kind of like a precarious situation here that he's describing. But the children who are raised in the household that has adequate nutrition, enough food, and they have candy once in a while, whatever, they're not like excited about this. Like they don't care about the candy man. They're like, who is this strange man? Why is he offering us candy? This is weird. We're going to close the door. But the children who aren't adequately fed, or maybe they, never have candy or whatever, they will accept the candy from the candy man and they will engage in this type of dynamic because they're deprived. And so the idea here is that the reason love bombing works so well is because there's a certain type of deprivation that happened that perhaps developed in an early stage in life and affected the development of the brain. Or I actually think that it can actually have something to do with loneliness as well. We know that currently we're living in this like loneliness epidemic, and human connection is a need. And so when we're being deprived of a human need, it makes a lot of sense that love bombing works really, really well. And so if you've ever kind of been exposed to this type of activity, just remember that this is due to the deprivation of a need in the brain, whether it was a need that was deprived in childhood or a need that you need to meet now. But love bombing is not an adequate way to meet that need. It's kind of like, that candy man showing up in the doorstep. Like, it's typically not going to turn out well, and that need needs to be met in a healthy and effective way. And so hopefully that helps you understand love bombing and hopefully makes you a little bit more resilient to it.